Tips and tricks for interactive content. I'm Tim Crennan, and I'll be giving you this little intro today. So assuming you already know somewhat about Composer and how to use it, and we'll just be going over a little bit more advanced stuff to get more bang out of our buck from our Composer product. And as we hopefully know, Composer is a interactive technical communications tool, so we can convey our information and our user manuals and everything directly from our SolidWorks CAD data. And that's one of the big advantages of it. It's leveraging our CAD data. It's leveraging all our metadata from there that we put into it already. So we don't have to go through and recreate this all, sit around looking up numbers, just capturing screenshots from SolidWorks to build our manuals off of. And also lets us start our manuals earlier. So let's go ahead and jump into it and do a little bit of advanced stuff here. So this is a SolidWorks Composer, of course, and this is just a boom assembly for a big mining machine, and it's just a small part of the entire machine. But we'll go and make a little interactive content from it. So I just have two images right now that we're looking at. This is the first one. It's kind of like our cover image. We put a little bit of the rendering effects on, put the mirroring effects of the floor, change all that under our rendering, look however we want, turn on the grid if we want. One of the things we can do, make things look better is we can actually change the ground, what it looks like, where it's at, where the mirror is going to be, what color it's going to be. We can change the logo on the background. We can have our own company logo embedded into the background there, whatever we might want to do with that. And then this other image that I have right now is just a silhouette view with bill of materials from some sub-assemblies. So what we're going to be doing with these is we're actually going to be trying to make them more interactive and useful, because it's kind of the whole point. We're in a 3D world. We're using 3D data, so let's keep everything going 3D and interactive, and not just go back to 2D static images. So the first thing we'll do is we'll go back to our cover image, and we'll make this a little bit more interactive. So instead of just being a static picture, if we send someone the Composer file, they'll still have the 3D data here. They can rotate around, see what's going on. But we can make it interactive and actually be able to do stuff. So what we'll do is we'll go over to our Workshops tab, and we'll go to our Views and open up our Views workshop. Our Views workshop is actually very useful. We can do a lot of really cool things like hybrid views in here, where I can say, based on my selected actors, I want to only capture all the properties or very specific properties based on my selection. So if I go to Custom and say I only want to capture the location and link data, then we can make these really cool hybrid views. So what we'll do is I'm going to select the specific parts I want. So I'm going to select this entire boom assembly that's just the inside piece. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and say Create. And that's going to create a hybrid view. And you'll notice that it looks different over in our Views window. It has like the shaded out triangle through it, so that it's a interactive hybrid view. So with that, I'll go ahead and rename that real quick so we know what's going on. This will be our collapsed state. All right, so I just basically captured the location data and the link data, which we'll get to in a little bit, for that boom, and it's collapsed all the way down. Now let's go ahead and select that same selection again and go ahead and transform it out. And one thing you might notice is that my triad here, my gizmo, is not translating that to the proper direction that I want. So really easy thing we can do to change where our gizmo is or how we're going to be, the direction of haul, is I can just hold down my Alt key, and as I mouse over, so I was picking up geometry references, saying, oh, you want to move it that direction, this direction, so I can just pick up geometry reference from the part I want that's going the exact direction I want, click on that, and now it comes straight out like that. And so I can go all the way up. We'll bring that out to like there. I'm going to go back over here, and with the part still selected, I'm going to go ahead and hit Create again. Again, so I'm capturing the location data and the link data for my selection. And we'll go over here and we'll hit Create. And if we go back to our Views tab, we'll see that it's created another view. Let's go ahead and rename that to Extend Div. All right. So normally how these views work, if you guys remember, is if I click on a view, it's captured everything. It's kind of like a moment in time there. So everything that view was captured, the colors, the locations, the shading, all that we captured it with the view. And if I go to one of my other views, it's like, all right, well, here's a completely different setup that I had captured. We're going to go back to that. But if I go to this view and I activate my extended hybrid view, the only thing it's going to be doing is changing the location of that specific part I had told it to capture that information for. So if I go back to this one, I can rotate around and get to any other view I want. And then when I do that, it doesn't change my views. It doesn't change anything else about it. It's just capturing that small piece of information of location data for this specific part. Then we have our collapse state. All right, so we can go into any view we want and be able to move those around. Now what we can do with that link information is we can actually set this up to link to different views when we click on it, like in the actual document. So we don't have to go over here and click on the views. I can make it interactive where I can click on the boom sticking out and have that link to a hybrid view. So what we can do is I highlight our selection. I'm going to go down to my Properties tab and go to our Events section, and this is where we can tell it to link somewhere. So right now I'm going to link that to, we can link it to anything, files, websites, markers in our video, animations, or views we've already created, and that actually gives me a drop-down for all my views that we're working on here, or that I've already created, so I don't have to go through and type it and try to figure out how to link to it. So I can say, okay, link that to the extended state, capture it, and I'm going to go ahead and go there and tell it to update that view. So now it's capturing that new link information. Then I'm going to go to my extended state. And again, I'm going to go to our events. I'm going to adjust my link information. Tell this to link to the closed state. And again, we'll update that. So now it captures that change we've made. And then we'll do one more thing. We'll go back to our home view. I'm actually, because that's not linked anywhere yet, I have to link it to one of these hybrid views. So I'll link that to the extended state. So that when we, gives us our jumping off point. All right. And then another cool little trick is down here, we have a couple useful buttons. One that you should always have on would be showing your paper space you're working on. So if I turn off my workshop, we can see that I have like this highlighted paper space here. So these great areas on the side. This is actually what Composer is capturing, based on what we told it. Like, I want to work with A5 paper size. Then it's going to be like, all right, here you go. That's the size it's going to be whenever we're going to capture high resolution images or videos or anything. It's capturing only what's in this paper space. We can turn it off, makes it cleaner, smoother to work with when we're just looking at it. But again, I could, get to a view where I'm like, oh, that looks really good. But then when I actually go to capture my high resolution image, it's going to cut off the sides because it's not actually capturing that info. But for our purposes right now, this button on the left is design mode. And we can toggle between those, and that's actually going to activate between design mode on or off. So if we turn design mode off, we're going to be interacting with our document the way a user would. So we don't have to save it, open it up in Composer Player to see what they're going to be dealing with. We can just go over here, turn off design mode, and now, minus this other stuff around here, inside here is what the user would be seeing and be able to use. And you notice as I mouse over some parts, I have my pointer, but as I go over a part that we said that was going to be interactive, now I have a action key on my pointer. So I can click on that. It's going to extend it out. Let's go back to our first view. So extend that out and click on it again, collapse it, and just make it interactive like that. And we can go through and we can adjust it on, add that into different areas. So I can say, okay, well, we're going to angle that, or these pistons are going to change, and this whole thing will raise up. And because we're only capturing the extend, relative information like that, we can have a bunch of these all working together to show like complex scenarios. Like, oh, here's a seat where it can go up and down, and you can recline it back, and it can turn left and right. And you can do all those in any order really easily. You don't have to go through and make a custom view for every specific possible combination. So that just saves a lot of time and work that way. All right. Another thing we could do if we wanted to make it more obvious that you can click on these, go back here, and I'll turn my design mode back on so we can actually work with this, let's grab that whole assembly. And you might have noticed next to our link state we have a pulse. If we put a pulse of 400 on a specific color, go red or something, then go ahead and apply that view or update that information. Now when I turn off my design mode to see what the user would be seeing, that whole part's going to be blinking. It's going to have pulsing, whatever color I told it to, however fast we told it to. And that gives the user a heads up, like, oh, hey, here's an interactive part. And we have all our parts, blinking different colors of like, yeah, click this, and then it'll activate and change around. So the next thing we're going to look at for some interactive content is going to be over in the silhouette view here. And what we can do with that is, again, link it between images. And this is kind of cool because it's going to be a little bit outside of just embedded within Composer Player. We're having to use ActiveX and everything. With this, we can actually leverage our high-resolution image technical illustrations. We'll go ahead and lock that down. And again, these are really cool looking. I made this. I got to build materials for it and everything. But if we do the high-resolution image workshop, when we go ahead and do a preview, that's going to open it up into a SVG file, which is scalable vector graphics. And those, so you can zoom in and out as far as you want, and it'll never get, tessellated, bad-looking content at all. It's always going to be nice and smooth edges, which is really nice. And also, it does line weight drawing. So, as we'll see in a second when it finishes loading, all the outside edges are thicker line weight than the inside edges. It's ignoring just certain tangent edges when it looks at it and calculates it. And the shading, shadowing we could have in there or not if we wanted. We could put color into it if we wanted to. And also there's a option on the bill of materials when you create those for model highlighting. And if we check that when we go into our technical illustration workshop here, when we make this, it's actually interactive, where I can mouse around down onto my bill of materials and highlight the specific part that it's pointing at. I can mouse out onto the actual graphics window and point around those and highlight them, highlights in our bill of materials. So it makes it really easy to find specific parts you might want. And so this, opened up in HTML, and so this is really easy to embed in websites and just have like, oh, here's our interactive parts list on our website. Click on that and look around, find the parts you need. We could add a button on here for like, oh, you need replacement parts. Just click on the part you need, and then click on add to cart or buy now, and go from there. We can do even more interactive stuff with this. So we can set this up to link to more images. So if we wanted to have it be able to like, oh, I want to interrogate down, like, oh, I don't need this entire knuckle kit, I just need a specific bolt from it. So we can have it set up to link to that, and we can go ahead and try and make that happen. So what we'll do is I'm going to just isolate that part. So I'm just going to select it and then go to Show Selection, hide everything else. Zooms in, really easy way to do that. And then let's go ahead and do something like, and grab this part. Let's go ahead and translate it out. I might notice that some of these parts didn't come with it that I really want to. So I'm just going to select all the parts I want. And then what we can do is we can tell it to, we can drag it over. The best way to do it is just tell it to copy the movement. So this option right here is basically copy move. We go to transform, it's up here, copy transformation. And I can say copy the move of this part. That puts them the exact same move that those other parts that that's executed. Bring that over. Maybe we'll grab this bolt section. Just translate that off. Again, it's not going the exact right direction I want, so I'll just click on a reference plane, drag off that way while using the Alt key. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and create that view, and maybe we'll create one more view. I'm going to just go ahead and isolate this specific part. Let's zoom out. And that's what you can do when you're zooming out is instead of using the mouse wheel, it's kind of like jerky zoom. We can just hold down both mouse buttons at the same time and do a nice smooth pan in and out. It really helps you get nice precise images going. I'm going to select all those, and then we'll just explode that up, explode something down. And then if we want to, we can go in and add some building materials or something. We'll skip that just right now. Maybe I'll do a little bit more authoring on it. We'll put this in, and again, I'm holding the Alt key down. It's actually picking up geometry, so it's actually locking into the geometry of the part, saying, oh, hey, here's the center of this part, here's this part here. So now when I actually customize this line to look very specific, I can turn off, stay on top. And when we rotate around, because we've locked it to geometry, it's actually going through the centers of the parts, so we don't have to worry about it rotating and having it being off to the side. It just looked like it was going through or something from that one angle. So that helps you be really precise that way. All right, let me update that image. Then what we can do is we can go ahead and we'll save this out as our technical illustration. We'll just name this view 3 for simplicity right now. Then what I'll do is I'm going to go activate my next knuckle kit. And this is the best way to do it, is you break it all the way down and then you work backwards when you're creating your views. Because now what we'll have to do is we're going to select those parts. And we're going to go down to our links, and we're going to add a link to that specific view file we just made. All right, so it's click on it, we get it selected, so it's actually populates our field down here. And then go ahead and update that view. So make sure we keep that information. Let's go ahead and save this out. We'll just name that number 2. Going to generate it, and then we'll go our next level up. Back to our big exploded bill of materials. And I'm going to grab that whole part. And it's generally good to grab them as a part selected, so they're in orange, not as a full assembly select. Your selection tool is very specific that way, so you have to keep a little bit of an eye on that. So we'll link this to number 2, and we want that to be the file. So when I click that, it will open up file number 2. We will again save our view, save as on this entire technical illustration file. All right, and then once that finishes calculating, we'll go ahead and open this up and take a look at what we got. So again, here's our SVG graphics. To look at, we can interactive on everything, and now I set it up so I can actually click on this knuckle. Brings me down to the next view. I'm like, all right, yeah, I want this part here. Brings me down to that next view. And then we can say, oh yeah, that's the part I want. Have it bring down to that view. Have it add the shopping cart button. And there we go. We just got replacement parts really easily and quickly. We made a really nice, clean-looking, interactive document instead of having someone call up our support line saying, oh, I need this thing. And okay, what's the part number? I'm like, oh, I don't know. They have to sit there and thumb through their 2D bill of materials, trying to figure out exactly what's going on. Describing what's happening, or we could just be leveraging our CAD data to make this really nice interactive document. And we can go back through it really easily. All right, and then, of course, the last thing we could do really simply is just add buttons. If we wanted to go forward a slide, back a slide, something like that, we can always, with those link tools I was showing you, there's lots of options where you can say, oh, just link to the next image, link to something else like that. We can link to an outside document. What we can do is we can add like a next back button. And these are cool because in Composer they already have these set up for the intelligence of what it means. So this is already linked to go to the next view. It's already built up in a style. So what we can do is I can just grab those. And a really cool way to just apply them to all our views. I can just click on my views, right-click, and say Apply with my button selected, Update Views with Selected Actors. And there we go. Now we go through, and that's just all those buttons are in all my views already. So again, if I jump into what the user mode is going to be, so we have this glowing part, we can rotate around, make that go away. We click these buttons up here. Jumping through to our different bill of materials. All right, So really easy and quick to make these powerful interactive documents. Yeah, if you guys have any more questions about this, and there's lots more interactive options out there, just feel free to let us know or contact your salesperson if you're interested in getting some Composer or additional training or anything like that. And hope to see you at our next